Hey friends, so in this vlog I'm just going to talk about a few little weird things that have been happening to me lately. I guess they're basically coincidences, strange connections, random happenings, just strange unrelated things that are basically finding each other and kind of presenting themselves as a connection in my day-to-day. And to be honest, the only reason I'm really posting this is because I'm kind of curious if it means anything.
Welcome to the vlog.
Tell me what you think. I'm going to try and go through this the best way that I can. I was thinking about it and I'm kind of like, well, how the hell do you even talk about this? So basically, I'm just going to kind of go in chronological order of things that are related. And as I come around to the end of it, you'll see how certain things are connected to the beginning, if that makes any sense. So, a while back on Facebook, I asked just my friends and that kind of thing, what's a good, give me some suggestions of some good shows to watch because, I kind of couldn't really find anything. I was a big fan of Breaking Bad. I didn't mind Sons of Anarchy. There's some other ones out there that, like American Gods and stuff that was, different yet decent with some unique writing and that kind of thing. So I basically just asked the question. Somewhere along there, somebody mentioned The Americans, which was an FX show that was put on TV for a while. And I can't remember how many seasons it was, like 5 or 6 seasons. And eventually, I started watching that, episode here, a couple episodes there at night. Okay, so make note of that. Fast forward a little while, and I'm over on the Digby Neck in Nova Scotia. And I'm exploring the islands and taking the ferries and that kind of thing. And when I went to Briar Island, I went to this little park that overlooked Peter Island. So Peter Island is basically this island in the middle of the inlet. I think it's... but anyways, the island itself is really small, and it's just basically just home to the Peters Island Lighthouse, which I did a video on, which was part of my Briar Island one. Anyways, I wanted to fly the drone around the island, so I found a park, and I pulled into the park, and there was like this nice little walking path and that kind of thing. So I walked up the path to shoot part of my video, and on this path was this plaque dedicated to Joshua Slocum, who was the first sole person to sail around the world. And he actually got lost at sea on a different voyage somewhere down the road, but basically this plaque was dedicated to him. I mentioned it in the video, thought it was kind of cool, like, I learned something that day, made the video, released the video, blah, blah, blah. After that, chronologically, I decided that I needed to get my second shot for my COVID vaccine. And Nova Scotia was bumping appointments ahead if you wanted. So I started talking to a lady on the phone, found out the best place to go, and that happened to be Middleton, Nova Scotia. Okay, cool. I went to Middleton, Nova Scotia on July, whatever it was, 17th, and got my shot. Shortly after that, I'm at Rayport Campground, and my next videos were going to be Mahone Bay and Lunenburg. And when I was looking on Wikipedia about Lunenburg, it mentioned that it's used for quite a few different films and TV shows and that kind of thing. So I kind of looked into it, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, there's a couple, Stephen King ones. Dolores Claiborne was one, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool because I've never seen that movie, so I'll find it and watch it. So I started watching Dolores Claiborne, expecting to see, shots of the town of Lunenburg and that kind of thing. And instead, I'm watching and I'm like, that looks like the town hall in Mahone Bay that I drove by yesterday. I hadn't shot any video in Mahone Bay yet, but I'd driven through a couple of times, and I'm like, that looks really familiar. So sure enough, the town hall in Mahone Bay was used in Dolores Claiborne. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is the town hall that they used in Dolores Claiborne the movie adaptation of that Stephen King story. It was blue in the movie, but I think this might be it. I'll double check and see.
Hey, Miss Claiborne. Kill anyone else today?
Not just yet. When I change my mind, I know exactly where I'm going to start.
So now you have to remember that the Dolores Claiborne movie was filmed in, I think, 95, back in the 90s. So obviously the ferries and that kind of thing that were in operation back then might have been retired by now. So I'm watching, and all of a sudden it's like, that ferry looks familiar. And it turned out to be the ferry that goes from Westport to Freeport, basically to Briar Island. And then I look at the name of the ferry, and the ferry's name is Joshua Slocum. So they named the ferry after the sailor guy who did it around the world by himself and was lost at sea. Okay, that's kind of cool. Still kind of weird, because I wasn't expecting to see Briar Island stuff in this movie, but regardless, it was there. Now, keep in mind, this is all happening in like the course of 2 weeks. So after that, I went back and resumed watching The Americans, episode here, episode there. And at a certain point, I'm like seeing the actors' names, and I was wondering who was who. So I just kind of, IMDb'd it and found out the cast. So as I was thumbing through, the character who plays Paige on The Americans, the daughter, her name is Holly Taylor, and she was born in Middleton, Nova Scotia, which is where I ended up randomly getting my second COVID shot. So then, about 2 days later, I decided, okay, well, I'm going to go to Chester, race week's going on, that kind of thing. And then on the way back, I'm going to stop at Oak Island and see if there's anything to see, if you can see any of the stuff that everybody raves about and all, the TV show or whatever. And the road that goes to Oak Island is called Crandall Road, right? So needless to say, I went down Crandall Road, found Oak Island. They're actually filming season 9, so it was kind of blocked off. Couldn't really see it. Did a video anyways, flew the drone around because they were done shooting for the day. Long story, blah-de-blah-de-blah. I go home, and that night, I'm watching The Americans again, and they introduce a character who's kind of like a scientist guy, and his last name, Crandall. What the actual... really, it was just getting crazy. So that was pretty much it. Like I said, this was in the course of 2 weeks, right? Because I was camped at Rayport and in that area and going around doing my thing. And these are the things that basically popped up in my peripheral, right there in front of me, all these weird little connections. And then, to be honest, after I left Rayport Campground, so I left that area and went up to Bredor Lakes, nothing connected at all. So I'm just kind of curious, is that sort of weird? Is that an area thing? For the record, I'm not into all this psychic, weird, crazy stuff, but one's got to wonder, what are those little connections? What are those signs, if they are signs, telling you? And it just got me thinking. That's all. But yeah, it was just so weird. I wanted to share it with you guys. So if you have some comments and you want to chime in and tell me I'm crazy, go for it. I already know. Anyways, yeah. I will talk to you all soon. That's the end of this crazy little vlog about absolutely nothing. So, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all soon. Cheers, and bye-bye.